This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's Joshua Usyk Fight Week, fighting on the bill and making his debut at £175, Mr. Callum Smith. All right, mate, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I feel privileged getting KUGAN. No,
If Andy hears that,
yeah, I know.
he'll be upset.
Yeah, I know. Good to see you doing a bit anyway.
Thank you very much. Callum, everyone's kind of eagerly anticipating you as a light heavyweight. When did the plan for this, was it pre-Canelo? Did you ever thought about at some point that after that fight, regardless of what happened in that fight, that you would be moving up in weight?
Probably, yeah. Again, it's hard to speak about it without looking like I'm blaming the weight for the loss, and I'm not. Look, the better man beat me on the night. He was too good for me on the night, and there's no excuses. But I knew my time for a bit was coming towards the end at 168, and even if I'd have won the fight, I think as a fighter, I was still doing the weight comfortable. You'd always want to be 2-weight world champion. There's always goals you want to set yourself, and mine was to unify or step up and try and be a 2-weight world champion. But I think it got to a point where it wasn't in my hands. I had to move up for my own performance sake. My performances were starting to dip, and I'm excited about it. I feel good, I feel better, and hopefully we'll see some improvements in my fight, and we'll see a better version of me.
Just going back to that Canelo fight, it was always said for the last 2 or 3 years that the two people with the best chance from the UK of beating Canelo would have been yourself and Billy Joe Saunders, and obviously he had to fight with Yildirim in the middle of that. But yeah, I mean, Billy Joe fell short as well, but just a phenomenal fighter, and you know, you've obviously shared the ring with him. Your brother's also shared the ring with him, so you guys know firsthand exactly how good he is. Yeah,
he's a special fighter, and no, I knew before getting him how good he was. No, he, in my opinion, he's the best fighter in the world, pound for pound at the moment. I believe stylistically, I could have beat him, I could have caused him trouble, but he was too good on the night. He was very clever, he was smart, and like I said, I knew how good he was going in there, so like not a lot surprised me apart from how hard he was to it clean, his defence, his ability. I think we've seen yesterday with the Caleb plant slap, his reactions and to get out of the way his shots is frightening, and he's just so hard to it clean, which kind of takes away your offence and you're kind of fighting his fight. But yeah, look, he was good. He's a very good fighter, and I think he'll go on and achieve more.
I think since your fight, he seems to have learnt a few choice words in English, and it's kind of since I think the press conference where he was having that bit of back and forth with Demetrius Andrade, he's kind of captivated everyone with not just yesterday, but in general, he's kind of he didn't talk English in interviews for a good few years, so yeah, he's kind of captivating the public.
Yeah, I think not just with him, but I think with a lot of fighters, when they start speaking English, it kind of makes them a little bit more likeable, gives them a bit of a personality rather than just the boxing ability. And I think with his English, he's a little bit funny with it as well. So I think a lot of people are starting to take to him a little bit more, as well as a boxing ability. Do you know what I mean? I think the same with Usyk, when they speak a little bit of English and stuff like that, it just gives you a bit more of a character to back.
10-9 round for Canelo yesterday?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you try and steal it on someone with a slap and then ends up getting countered and cut, it backfires a bit. But look, it makes for a good build-up. I think it kind of got everyone talking about that fight after just the press conference to announce it. So I think it's played its part. It's got a lot of people talking about the fight, and rightly so. It's an undisputed title fight. It deserves all the people watching, but it's a fight I do believe Canelo wins.
So you're going from 168 to 175, which isn't an easy weight division. There's so many good fighters, and domestically as well. But when you look at where you're kind of aiming to go to, I'm not saying you overlook, but the domestic light heavies that we have in this country, are they potential fights for you? Yeah,
possibly, but I get what you mean. I'm not overlooking them, but none of them have a world title, and I'm looking towards the world champions. If I can beat Lennon Castillo, then I'll be wanting no world title shot. If you have to have one more fight, then a world title shot, then so be it. I don't know how many I'll have to take. If one of them fights in the meantime, but with the fellow Brits, then fair enough. But I'm not planning to jump in the mix for all them. I want to be a world champion, and at the minute the champions are Bivol, Smith and Betty Bev, so they're the people I'm aiming towards. If one of the other Brits get a world title, or I have to beat one of them to get it, then they'll become my focus. But now I'm focused on the weekend. I think Castillo's a good fighter. He's a good test for me. If I can come through that, then we'll know a little bit more, and we'll start planning future moves.
Is Buatsi a potential future opponent?
Possibly, yeah. He's doing his thing. He had a good win last time out against Bolotniks, and he's on the way up, and he's probably in the same position as me. He wants to be a world champion, and I think Same as when I was at 168, to be a world champion, you've got to beat whoever they put in front of you to get there, and then you've got to beat whoever's there with the title when given the opportunity. And I think when so many people are on the same path, there's only 4 belts to win, so some will have to meet beforehand, some will meet probably for the belts, but look, everyone's definitely a future opponent. I've just got to leave it to my team, whoever they match me with, I believe I'll beat. I believe I'm good enough to become a world champion, and that's the goal.
Yeah, I mean, even though you're making that jump, obviously people can't dismiss what you've accomplished at super middleweight, so it's not a case of you kind of almost starting your career again.
Yeah, go right through the British and European and stuff like that. I think my achievements at 168 put me in and around world level anyway at 175. I just need to get the wins to prove I'm a genuine 175, and once I can do that, then I believe I'm in the mix and I'm good enough to get a world title shot and good enough to win it.
You've made a change, obviously trainer-wise, moving from Joe Gallagher to Buddy McGirt. Just wanted you to talk to me about that.
Yeah, I decided to link up with Buddy. He's a very, very good coach, which I knew anyway. His achievements speak for themselves, but I had to find out if he was the right coach for me stylistically, and we've done a bit of work together, and I liked the work we were doing. I went over to LA for 6 weeks and done a lot of stuff over there with him, and a lot of it was technical, just tidying little bits up what I feel I need to improve on. Obviously, as a fighter, we're always improving, and I think when you're a world champion, you can't not neglect it, but you're winning, so you're doing everything right. Whereas I think a loss kind of made me step back and realise there's a lot to tidy up on, and I believe Buddy's the best man for it, and I believe I've improved over the last few weeks, and hopefully we'll see some of the improvements. Look, we may not. I'm not expecting mid-hills in one fight, but over time, I do believe you'll see a better version of me.
I can't not talk to you about October the 9th. Obviously, your brother in a much talked about fight with Anthony Fowler, and not just that fight, but the card all the way down is littered with 50-50 fights. It's such a great night. It's going to be in Liverpool. But how's Liam getting on? Yeah,
good. It's been a good camp for him. Look, he's always ready to fight, Liam. He'd fight tomorrow if he had to, but he's had a good camp, and I think with it being, obviously it's a good fight, but I think with it being 2 local lads, local derby, there's always a little bit more at stake, a bit of bragging rights, and they count for a lot in sport, and he's got that bit between his teeth. It's a must-win fight for him. He can't lose to the lad from his own city, so I've seen a bit of different Liam in this camp. I've seen a bit between his teeth, and I watched him spar just before I left. The sparring's going well. He's peaking at the right time, so he's excited, and it's good. It's a good fight for the city. It's good, especially after COVID, to get the Echo Arena packed out for a big derby. So it's good for the city, and as I said, there's a lot of good fighters on the undercard in good fights. So hopefully I can get my job done and I can sit back and enjoy it.
It's interesting, when I spoke to Liam nearly a month ago, and he said that when Anthony Fowler's name was potentially mentioned to him, he said he almost took offence to it, that he was being linked with a fight with Anthony, considering where kind of Liam is in his career compared to Anthony. But now, speaking to him now the fight's announced, he seems more up for this fight than I've seen him in a lot of fights. Yeah,
because I think if Anthony wasn't from Liverpool, and like if you were to offer Liam a fight with Cheeseman or say someone like that, then you kind of look at it as in, what does Liam get out of it? He was British champion about 8 years ago or something. He's proved he's past that level. So a fight against one of them is kind of a step back for him. But I think, as you said, the fact that father is from Liverpool, it's got that bit more to it, a bit more bragging rights to it, and a bit more needle involved. So I think that's what kind of got Liam going and got him to accept the fight. And it's a good fight. Fowler, top amateur. I don't think he's shown what he can do as a pro just yet. I don't think he's improved at the rate a lot of the other Olympians have. But he still is a good fighter, and Liam still has to be switched on. But for me, the best version of Liam beat Anthony Fowler and should beat him well.
It's going to be some night in Liverpool. Yeah. Can I bring in Paul Reddy? You can come and sit next to Callum.
Scraping the barrel, mate.
Wait there, let me just get you in focus. Hello, how are you?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Oh, look at his putting on his posh voice there. I just noticed that.
Trying to be a bit professional here, mate.
I just wanted to pick up on what Callum's saying there about just because he's going to light heavyweight doesn't mean he has to kind of build his way up kind of through the rankings. He's obviously going to light heavyweight in search of a world title. So there are some opponents there which I think on paper we'd look at and go, oh, that would be a good fight. But really, he's kind of passed, if he's passed it at super middleweight, he's also kind of bypassed it at light heavyweight to a certain degree.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think that's any, Callum touched on it well there, I don't think there's any offence to any of those guys coming through, but it wouldn't make sense for him. You don't see anyone else doing that, and I think Callum has proved he was the number one at 168 for a long time. lost, unfortunately, of course. But I think coming into the light heavyweight division, if you've got a world title, or if you're going to put Callum in a position, final eliminator, then he's interested in fighting you. But we've got to focus on Saturday.
Lenin Castillo, obviously you've had a hand in matchmaking in the past yourself, Paul. What sort of test this is going to be for Callum?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think he's a very good yardstick at the weight. Everyone's familiar with him. Bivol probably didn't put in a great performance against him when he boxed. I think Castillo made it quite difficult for him. He's a counter puncher, but he's a big guy. I think he'll be big on the night. So yeah, he'll ask some questions of Callum, and I think it will let us know how well Callum's taken to the weight quickly. But I think he's going to win in style, stoppage, or break him down and win convincingly on points.
What's a better fight for you stylistically from Bivol and Beterbiev?
I don't know. I've never really studied both. Obviously, I know Bivol, we boxed as amateurs, so I've always knew of him and kept an eye on him. Stylistically, I think he's a good fight for me. I've watched a lot of his fights. Beterbiev, I've never really studied because he's never been someone who I envisioned fighting. He was always a light heavy, I was a super middle. They're both good fighters. So's Joe Smith. He's done it the hard way. He's finally got his belt, and he's in a good run of form. They're all good in their own way. They're all stylistically different, but they're all good fights for me. And I'm not going to chase one of them because I've done that at super middle. I've chased the WBC title for years and ends up winning the WBA. So whatever's the easiest fight to make, whatever one of them will give me an opportunity, or if you have to become mandatory, then we'll do that. But they're all fights I believe I can win. The best version of me, I believe, beats all three of them. So we'll have to just see how we look the weekend, see how things go, and then we can start sitting down as a team and making moves.
But before any talk of that, got a job to do on Saturday, Paul.
Absolutely, yeah. No, he's got to look good on Saturday. I think you'll see, like Callum said earlier, he's not had long with Buddy, but you'll see some glimpses. I mean, some of the bits he was doing in there, you'll see a couple of little tweaks, and I think a couple more fights, I think you'll see, look, Callum's not going to change. He's a bit too long in the tooth, he'd admit that himself, but it's just polishing and refining, and yeah, I think you'll see a really good performance at the weekend.
Okay, Callum, Paul, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Have you got anything else you'd like to say before we finish, Paul?
When are you going to hook me up with some Palm Angel stuff? I don't know if I could pull it off as well as you do, mate, but you dripped out.
I'm not sponsored by Palm Angels. I don't get anything free from Palm Angels whatsoever.
You'd take it if they offered it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, nothing, mate, from me.
You're at a stage now where you get free stuff, surely?
Not yet, no. I mean, hopefully Paul will come with some tracksuits. When Paul turns up late, we'll have some team tracksuits, but no, not yet, mate. A little bit further off from that. But
Callum, have you got anything else you'd like to add, mate?
No, all good. Look forward to a good show the weekend. Good show, good stadium. Good to be a part of it all.
Terrible football team, but it's going to be a great stadium. But anyway, it's a different...
Don't you think it looks like the Emirates, like the top of it? Don't you think it really looks quite similar to how the Emirates was designed, the way the stands curve at the top, and what do you think?
It's ironic that the next day, obviously, we are at the Emirates for Arsenal versus Tottenham. So, yeah, interesting. Guys, thank you very much, and Callum, best of luck on Saturday.